Holy Week in Spain is the annual commemoration of the Passion of Jesus Christ celebrated by Catholic religious brotherhoods and fraternities that perform penance processions on the streets of almost every Spanish city and town during the last week of Lent, the week immediately before Easter. Description: Spain is known especially for its Holy Week traditions of Semana Santa. The celebration of Holy Week regarding popular piety relies almost exclusively on the processions of the brotherhoods or fraternities. These associations have their origins in the Middle Age, but a number of them were created during the Baroque period, inspired by the Counter-Reformation, and also during the 20th and 21st centuries. The membership is usually open to any Catholic person, and family tradition is an important element to become a member or brother. Some major differences between Spanish regions are noticeable in this event. Holy Week sees its most glamorous celebrations in the region of Andalusia, particularly in Malaga and Seville, while those of Castile and Leon see the more somber and solemn processions, typified by Semana Santa at Zamora and Valladolid. This is a religious holiday. A common feature in Spain is the almost general usage of the Nazareno, a penitential robe for some of the participants in the processions. This garment consists in a tunic, a hood with conical tip used to conceal the face of the wearer, and sometimes a cloak. The exact colors and forms of these robes depend on the particular procession. The robes were widely used in the medieval period for penitents who could demonstrate the penance while still masking their identity. These Nazarenos carry processional candles or rough-hewn wooden crosses, may walk the city streets barefoot, and, in some places, may carry shackles and chains on the feet as penance. In some areas, sections of the participants wear dress freely inspired by the uniforms of the Roman legion. The other common feature is that every brotherhood carries magnificent passos, or floats with sculptures that depict different scenes from the Gospels related to the Passion of Christ or the sorrows of Virgin Mary. Many of these floats are art pieces created by Spanish artists such as Gregorio Fernandez, Juan de Mesa, Martinez Montanez, or Mariano Benlayor. Brotherhoods have owned and preserved these passos for centuries in some cases. Usually, the passos are accompanied by marching bands performing marches processionales, who are a specific type of compositions devoted to the images and fraternities. Holy Week in Castile and Leon. Valladolid. Easter in Valladolid holds is one of the best-known Catholic traditions in Valladolid. As a reflection of its importance, is also considered as a fiesta of international tourist interest of Spain since 1981. The Good Friday processions are considered an exquisite and rich display of Castilian religious sculpture. On this day, in the morning, members of the brotherhoods on horseback make a poetic proclamation throughout the city. The Sermon of the Seven Words is spoken in Plaza Mayor Square. In the afternoon, thousands of people take part in the Passion procession, comprising 31 passos, most of which date from the 16th and 17th centuries, by artists like Juan de Junior Gregorio Fernandez. The last statue in the procession is the Virgin de las Angustias, and her return to the church is one of the most emotional moments of the celebrations, with the Salve Popular sung in her honor. Easter is one of the most spectacular and emotional fiestas in Valladolid. Religious devotion, art, color and music combine in acts to commemorate the death of Jesus Christ. The processions, members of the different Easter brotherhoods, dressed in their characteristic robes, parade through the streets carrying religious statues to the sound of drums and music. The National Sculpture Museum of the city gives a total of 104 images to the processions, such as Fact Museum, unique in Spain. Leon. Holy Week processions in Leon are also very popular. popular, with more than 15,000 penitents on the streets. Processions begin on Viernes de Dolores and last until Easter Sunday. The most solemn and famous procession is the Procesión de los Pasos, also known as the Procesión del Encuentro. During this 9-hour marathon procession, about 4,000 penitents carry 13 pasos around all the city. The most solemn moment is El Encuentro, when the pasos representing St. John and La Dolorosa face one to the other and are bailados. Also famous is a secular procession called Entierro de San Jeanrin, the burial of St. Jeanrin. In 1929, on Holy Thursday night, a poor alcoholic called Genaro Blanco was run over by the first rubbish truck in Leon. The procession consists of a march through the city bearing Orujo at the head of the procession. At the spot by the face of the city walls where the man was run over, a bottle of Orujo and 27 oranges are left in commemoration. Salamanca has one of the oldest celebrations in Spain. The earliest penance processions can be traced back to 1240. Three of the characteristics that make Holy Week in Salamanca unique: the monumental background provided by the Old City, declared UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1988, the quality of the images and pasos, created by important Spanish artists such as Luis Salvador Carmona or Mariano Benlliure, and the links with the University of Salamanca, the oldest institution of its kind in the country. 10,000 penitents associated to 16 brotherhoods organize 22 processions that walk the streets of the center, carrying 41 pasos from Friday of Sorrows to Easter Sunday. Semana Santa in Salamanca was declared Fiesta of International Tourist Interest of Spain in 2003. Zamora has the oldest celebrations in Spain. The earliest penance processions can be traced back to 1179. Holy Week in Zamora is celebrated by 16 sisterhoods and fraternities that perform 17 penance processions on the streets of the Old City. Thousands of penitents walk the streets while the processions are attended by a crowd of locals and visitors. Zamora increases its population 5 times, up to 300,000 people during the festival. The singularities of this celebration include the medieval setup of some of the parades, where the brotherhoods use monk-esque robes instead of the most usual Nazareno-esque conical hat, torch fire instead of candles, a male choirs instead of marching bands. Semana Santa in Zamora was declared Fiesta of International Tourist Interest of Spain in 1986. Holy Week in region of Murcia, Cartagena. The processions in Cartagena do not closely resemble others in Spain due to the strict order and unique characteristics. Every brotherhood is divided into smaller groups, each in charge of one of the floats in the procession. The members of the group are all clad in the same colors and wear a robe of sash around the waist, a cloak, a high-pointed hood to cover the heads and faces, and sandals. Each float is preceded at the front by a richly embroidered standard, carried by 3 members of the group and followed by 2 symmetrical lines of members, who march and stop in unison to the beat of drums. When they stop, they all remain absolutely still and in total silence. The military-like discipline may have earned the nickname of tercio, a word which broadly means regiment. At the rear of the tercio come a music band and the drummers, and then the trono made of artistically carved, gilded or painted wood. Some of these floats move on wheels, whereas others are carried on the shoulders of hundreds of portapassos, who also march to the rhythmic beat of the drums. On the top of the float you can see the processional images, polychrome wooden sculptures which are displayed either separately or in groups. The images include works by classic artists such as Francisco Salcio, José Capaz, Juan González Marino, Mariano Benlliure, or Federico Collado Valera, as well as others by contemporary sculptors. Unlike in other cities, in Cartagena the order of the floats in the procession follows the chronological order of the events narrated in the Gospels. The images are surrounded by carteles, a kind of electric candelabra, sometimes a sort of upside-down chandeliers, fixed to the float and decorated with colorful and intricate floral arrangements. Also unique in Cartagena are the infantry companies at the rear of the main processions, escorting the float of St. Mary, which, under popular Marian advocations such as Our Lady of Sorrows or Our Lady of Solitude, usually closes the procession. It must have been this uniqueness which awarded the Holy Week of Cartagena the rank of International Tourist Interest Festival in 2005. The processions in Cartagena are organized by 4 brotherhoods. The penitential Brotherhood of the Most Holy Christ of Succor leads the prayer of the Stations of the Cross around the city on the early hours of Friday of Passion Week, when the festivity of the patron saint of the city, Our Lady of the Seven Sorrows, takes place. The color of this brotherhood is black. The Brotherhood of the Hour of Our Lord Jesus Arrest organizes the processions that take place on the evening of Friday of Passion Week, on Holy Tuesday and Holy Wednesday, and on Maundy Thursday. The color of this brotherhood is red. The Brotherhood of Our Lord Jesus of Nazareth is in charge of the processions held on Holy Monday, on the early hours of Good Friday, in the evening of Good Friday, and on Holy Saturday. The color of this brotherhood is purple. The Brotherhood of Our Lord Jesus Resurrected organizes the procession on the morning of Easter Sunday. The color of this brotherhood is white. Given its role as the historical home of the Spanish Navy, every year on Holy Tuesday the Spanish Navy Marines send a delegation to the procession on that day. Mula. The Noche de los Tambores is celebrated on Tuesday during Holy Week celebrations in Mula, when at 12 a.m. thousands of people play drums when bell sings, preceded by a trumpet song. Declared as national touristic interest, is a tradition born after banning of playing drums and other instruments during Holy Week celebrations out of the procession hours by the Catholic local authorities in the 19th century. The intense noise after trumpet ends is amazing and lasts for several hours in your ears after hearing. Drummers, known as tamboristas, continue playing on Good Friday and also in Easter Sunday. Lorca. Holy Week in Lorca is one of the most important demonstrations of celebration of Holy Week in Spain, regardless of the existence of religious processions in the traditional way. Other Bible parades passionate dotting the Easter Lorquiana of a unique and different, with representations of the Old Testament, the Christian symbolism, with the participation of horses and chariots and floats of enormous dimensions. The embroidered silk are also a prominent feature of Lorca processions, marked by an extraordinary rivalry between 2 of its fraternities as steps, the blue and white. The most important step is the Royal and Illustrious Confraternity of Our Lady of the Rosary, is traditionally considered going back to the 15th century, although the oldest documents referring to the same date of 1599. Its owner is the Virgin of Bitness, known as the Beautiful, which is carried on Good Friday in a golden throne carried by over 130 people. The White Pass has over 1.500 embroideries in silk and gold. The other step is Brotherhood of Farmers Lorca. Holder is Our Lady of Sorrows, and also embroidered in silk and gold. Holy Week in Andalusia. Malaga. For over 500 years, Holy Week of Malaga has been constantly present in the religious and popular feeling of people from Malaga. The Holy Week religious celebrations in Malaga are famous countrywide. Processions start on Palm Sunday and continue until Easter Sunday, with the most dramatic and solemn on Maundy Thursday and Good Friday. Images from the Passion on huge ornate tronos, some weighing more than 5.000 kilos and carried by more than 250 members of Nuestra Señora de la Esperanza, shape the processions that go through the streets, with penitents dressed in long purple robes, often with pointed hats, followed by women in black carrying candles. Drums and trumpets play solemn music, and occasionally someone spontaneously sings a mournful salute dedicated to the floats as it makes its way slowly round the streets. The baroque taste of the religious brotherhoods and associations, and the great amount of processional materials that they have been accumulating for centuries, result in a street stage of exuberant art, full of color and majesty. Although many brotherhoods have been affected by the burning churches of 1931, and an important part of the heritage were destroyed, as the trousseau imagery and others during the Spanish Civil War. In the years following it, revival was slow, but these recovered with much greater numbers. Also, in the 1970s, cofradias nuevas began to be formed in the city, and some old brotherhoods, which were forgotten, are reorganized by young people as Salad, Descendimiento, Monte Calvario, and many more others to adapt to the changing times. Every year, the Passion Week in Malaga takes out to the streets a real festival perceptible by the five senses. Processional thrones carrying images that sway all along the entire route. Thousands of penitents lighting and giving color with the candles and robes. Processional marches, as well as aromas of incense and flowers filling the air as the processions pass by, and thousands of people crowded to see and applaud their favorite tronos. Holy Week in Malaga is very different from that celebrated in other Andalusian or Spanish places, and those who go to Malaga for the first time will be surprised, as the Passion Week there is not lived with meditation and silence, but it is full of happiness, noise, cheer, spontaneous orators, and applause as the images pass by. Some tronos of Holy Week of Malaga are so huge that they must be housed in other places different from the churches, as they are taller than the entrance doors. Real walking chapels of over 5,000 kilos carried by dozens of bearers. There are also military parades playing processional marches or singing their anthems along the route. All of this does not imply a lack of religiosity, but it is just the particular way that many people from Malaga live the faith, folkloric gustos and/or feelings during the Holy Week. One of these military celebrations is that of the Spanish Legion, which parades the image of Christ of the Good Death together with the Legion's own military band and honor guard on Maundy Thursday, very popular among tourists, locals, and military veterans. Seville arguably holds some of the most elaborate processions for Holy Week. The tradition dates from Counter-Reformation times, or even earlier. The Semana Santa de Sevilla is notable for featuring the procession of passos, lifelike painted wooden sculptures of individual scenes of the events that happened between Jesus' entry in Jerusalem and his burial, or images of the Virgin Mary showing restrained grief for the torture and killing of her son. Some of the images are artistic masterworks of great antiquity. These passos are physically carried on the neck of costaleros. The costaleros are hidden inside the platform of the passo, so it seems to walk alone. Historically, dock workers were hired to carry the passos. From 1973 onward, that task has been universally taken over by the members of the confraternities who organize each procession. Córdoba holds one of the most popular Holy Week in Spain. 37 brotherhoods take part in processions with elaborate passos, which represents the scenes of the events of the Passion of Christ. Almeria. There are, in total, 23 brotherhoods in Almeria and 2 pre-brotherhoods. Holy Week in Galicia. Vivero. Holy Week in Vivero is one of the best-known religious events within Galicia. As a reflection of its importance, is also considered as a fiesta of national tourist interest of Spain since 1988. This week features the procession of passos, floats of lifelike wooden sculptures of individual scenes of the events of the Passion, or images of the Virgin Mary showing restraint grief for the torture and killing of her son. Some of the sculptures are of great antiquity and are considered artistic masterpieces, as well as being culturally and spiritually important to the local Catholic population. During Holy Week, the city is crowded with residents and visitors, drawn by the spectacle and atmosphere. The impact is particularly strong for the Catholic community. The processions are organized by hermandades and cofradias, religious brotherhoods. During the processions, members precede the passos, dressed in penitential robes. They may also be accompanied by brass bands. The processions work along a designated route from the home churches and chapels, usually via a central viewing area and back. As of 2011, a total of 15 processions are scheduled for the week, from the previous Friday to Palm Sunday through to Easter Sunday morning. Other Holy Week celebrations in Spain. Andalusia. Almeria. See Almeria, Holy Week. Aracena, Baeza, Cadiz, Córdoba, Granada, Huelva, Jaén, Jerez de la Frontera, Lebría, see Lebría, Holy Week. Linares, Malaga, Seville, see Holy Week in Seville. Basque Country. Bilbao, Castile and Leon. Avila, Leon, Palencia, Salamanca, see Holy Week in Salamanca. Valladolid, see Valladolid, Holy Week. Zamora, see Holy Week in Zamora. Navarre. Pamplona, Castilla-La Mancha. Helen, Tabarra, Toledo, Catalonia. Hospital de Llobregat, Tarragona, Barcelona, Community of Madrid. Alcalá de Henares, Madrid, Extremadura. Badajoz, Cáceres, Mérida, Montijo, Galicia. Vivero, see Holy Week in Vivero. Teruel, Murcia. Cartagena, Spain. Lorca, Spain. Moratalla, see Moratalla, Holy Week. Mula, with a very exciting tamborada on Tuesday late at night. Murcia. Valencian Community. Holy Week in Liria. Alicante, Elche, Monóvar, Orihuela, Canary Islands. La Orotava, Los Reejos, San Cristobal de la Laguna, Santa Cruz de Tenerife. Ceuta and Amp. Melilla. Ceuta, Melilla. Tourism. Holy Week is not only a religious, cultural and social event but a touristic one. Many visitors from inside and outside Spain travel to attend the crowded parades. The most popular destinations holds titles and declarations of international interest for tourists of Spain and are promoted in major international fairs, TV, press and so on. Every year, many hand guides are released, including timetables, routes and passos of every procession so visitors can easily follow the celebrations. Holy Week in the Spanish culture. Many Spanish artists have included, recreated or used the Holy Week as a background in their creations, such as paintings, music, literature or movies, reflecting the cultural and social importance of these events. Painter Zuloaga, writers Antonio Machado and Federico Garcia Lorca, composer Joaquin Turina and filmmaker Mateo Gil are some examples.